Art on the Atlanta BeltLine is now 4 years old. We'll be going into our 5th year in 2014. It has grown each year and changed just as the BeltLine changes. One of the beautiful things about a temporary art project is, with a project that is always in flux like this is, that each year the artists get to look at the environment in a different way. So as hiking trails have opened or new spaces have opened as possible exhibit space, the artists have come in with different proposals and different ideas of how to interpret that space with a piece. So the BeltLine becomes a way for artists to share what they do with the general public, and usually share their work with an audience that hadn't intended on seeing their work. The first year we did Art on the Atlanta BeltLine, we did it during the summer months, and we found it very difficult because it got so hot. It became difficult to maintain, So when we shifted it slightly to the fall, we found that it was a better calendar for us. That there were more people outdoors, more people enjoying that weather, and you get that beautiful blue sky in September and October that's so great for the backdrop of the artwork. So this is a way for people to interact with art in a way they hadn't anticipated. Most people who are coming out for a jog or coming out to ride their bike, it just makes that ride and that jog that much better. And it gives them a sense that this is a place that is loved, cared for, and that the artists are really starting to embrace it as well. So we see the artists as sort of the spearhead of culture in that regard.
When I first came here to Atlanta 5 years ago, this whole corridor was abandoned. It was overgrown with weed trees. There were railroad tracks and debris. There were tons and tons of debris. It was very, very difficult to even walk on it. So, however, if you look closely enough, you can see its natural elements were still there and needed to be brought out. So what we did was we first of all cleared a path 20 feet wide that was walkable for people, and then tried to find ways of getting them to walk it so that they could appreciate the natural elements in the railroad corridor. We liked it so much that we wanted to develop a strategy to bring more and more people in. So Art on the BeltLine came out of that. This was before the design of the corridor was completed, before the trail was laid. But we got a lot of interest in the right-of-way, in the corridor, and a lot more people were using it. That helped us think about the design when we designed the corridor in the first place. So one of the things we try to do in this design is, even though we're building a concrete trail, we wanted to capture as much of the natural elements of the corridor as possible, because sometimes it's wide, sometimes it's narrow, sometimes it's up in the air, sometimes it's down in a gully. So the design that we developed, what we call the corridor design, seeks to support the linearity of the corridor, but at the same time, if you notice by the placement of the trees, capture some of the more natural elements. And then actually then as the artwork developed, we started moving more and more into more permanent art. And this rhino here by David Landis is an example of our permanent art collection that will always be here. So now when you walk the corridor, you'll see a combination of permanent and temporary art.
It's that moment of the discovery that's what connects people to art most, in my opinion. It's the fact that people will kind of, raise their noses or shift their eyebrows and judge it thoroughly, kind of decide that it's not good, and then all of a sudden everything flips 180 degrees. So it's that that complete alteration of perspective, both physically and mentally, and the illumination that excites me. Is when I see people excited, that's the best part of art in general.
So we're looking at the art now as utilizing a really, really appealing public exhibit space. So this is a long, linear exhibit space where we will continue to experiment with young artists, up-and-coming artists, pairing them with established artists, trying different performance projects, etc. So now it becomes an opportunity for display, exhibition, performance, entertainment, experimentation. So that's where we're heading.